by the end of this song.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm coming back to you guys with another entertainment video. I hope it doesn't confuse you too much because I know a lot of y'all follow me because of beauty, but because I want to stay consistent on YouTube, I want to do other topics that I'm interested in. And as you guys may know from my Instagram stories, I'm always talking about pop culture, artists, and all of that, music and all of that. So as you can see from today's title of the video, I'm going to talk about how they really played my sis Janet and how she should really be like one of like the pop icons, like on like Madonna status, Michael Jackson status, but why she's not there and why they really be doing what they do in Hollywood. But before we get started, be sure to be subscribed to my channel, turn on the notification bell because you know that YouTube be playing games. So make sure to get notified on every post because I will be posting consistently. I'm not trying to disappear like I always do. And yeah, let's just get started. Everybody knows who Janet Jackson is. She's a pop icon. But I always say she's not really on the level that I feel like she deserves to be on. When you think of like the queen of pop, you usually think of like Madonna. But for my personal opinion, I feel like the girls that are out, I feel like I see more of a Janet Jackson inspired route as opposed to Madonna. Like, I understand why they call her the queen of pop, and I'm not trying to compare women. I just feel like she don't get the flowers that she deserves. Janet Jackson actually kickstarted her career in 1982 with her self-titled debut, and she followed that up in 1984 with the album Dream Street, which were honestly flops in terms of like what the people were looking for in the 80s. People were selling like 10 million albums at the time. Like Going Diamond was normal. People had like #1 hits left and right. So they were flops, to be completely honest. But her breakthrough album in 1986 was Control. Everybody knows Control. Everybody knows that that was like the album that really brought her out into the mainstream and really solidified her position in the pop world as a pop icon. At the time, people started calling her the queen of pop right from the gate. Her album went on to sell 10 million copies, and also all singles went to the top 5. She followed this in 1989 with Rhythm Nation, which is honestly probably my favorite album from Janet, and it sold 12 million records. And it also is the only album in history to have 7 singles go to the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The reason why I'm telling you guys this is because like these stats are like ridiculous. Like nobody does this now. Nobody was even really doing that then. And it was actually the highest selling album in 1990. And also it was like the blueprint for the socially conscious album. Let's say, give an example to like Lemonade, where it was an album by Beyonce where you discuss political rights and civil rights, etc. She was already doing this in the late 80s when it wasn't acceptable. In 1993, with the release of her album Janet, she dropped her name, which was pretty much like symbolic off of her kind of shedding that stigma of people thinking that she only got to where she's at because she was a Jackson. And she actually signed a record contract worth $40 to $50 million, which at the time was the highest paid artist. And she followed this up. I'm telling you, she was like doing it. Like she was doing it in 1997 with The Velvet Rope, which is probably my second favorite Janet album. And she signed a recording contract with Virgin Records worth $80 million. Now, she wasn't only doing it for women, but as a Black woman, and for her to be on the top at the time and being Michael Jackson's little sister, like, it's nuts. By 2001, she had done a couple of movies and she released All For You. We all know All For You. I feel like that's that album that if you're kind of a part of my generation, which is kind of like more of the millennial generation Z, you'll recognize like the song It's All For You. Like we all know that song. Like in 2004, she was picked to perform at the Super Bowl, and she featured Justin Timberlake, who at the time was like really up and coming. He had just released his debut album. While they were performing, right before the performance was about to end, he actually had ripped up her rubber bustier, exposing her. And this in 2004 was like the uproar. So her team had actually released this statement. Justin was supposed to pull away the rubber bustier to reveal a red lace bra. The garment collapsed and her breast was accidentally revealed. So, of course, because of this, the American public went wild. They felt as though she might have done this as a publicity stunt, and they were completely blaming her for the entire situation, even though Justin Timberlake was the one that pretty much pulled it off. Not even pretty much, like literally pulled it off her, whether it was intentional or not. Justin Timberlake had actually kind of avoided the heat of this whole situation. Janet, was scheduled to release an album this year. She actually had been disinvited from the Grammys, which is crazy when you really think about it, because Justin had actually not only been invited to this year's Grammys, but he was actually performing at the Grammys, and it was like nothing happened. She had lost a deal with ABC to do a movie, and this was actually because Clear Channel Communications, which owns pretty much Viacom, which owns MTV, VH1, so many radio stations, had blacklisted her. So she really had no clear way to promote her music, especially at the time. This was the mid 2000s. You needed MTV, you needed VH1, you needed these outlets. We didn't have social media like we have now to promote and to kind of bypass these platforms. So following all of this mess, she was actually told to give not only a written apology, but also a recorded apology, a video record apology, which she agreed to do. And she was scheduled to release Demita Joe, which was, I think, March 2004, if I'm not mistaken. And in all honesty, it makes me so sad because even though I have favorite Janet Jackson albums, my favorite Janet Jackson song is All Night Don't Stop, which was a part of this album because it's just super sensual and it's a vibe. It completely flopped in terms of Janet. It was actually her worst selling album at the time. And it's crazy because it debuted at #2 still, even though she was blacklisted. I think it sold above 300,000 copies. And All For You, which was released in 2001, had actually debuted at #1 with 600,000 copies in its first day, I believe, if not week. And it just goes to show you, for her, for a regular artist, that would have been okay. But for her, this was a flop. And even in this kind of situation that she was in, she was still able to perform pretty well, even without being able to promote her project. By 2006, after years of her going on a press tour, being apologetic for this incident, that really was not a big deal. It's kind of nuts to me. Justin Timberlake finally gave his half-hearted apology. Now, at the time, let me go back really quick. Justin was actually quoted as saying, "We all love to give you guys something to talk about," which is so douchey when you really think about it, because she was going through all this backlash and he was kind of just riding off of all of the publicity, not only from this incident, but also with his breakup from Britney Spears. Honestly, we need to do a video about how literally Justin's career is based off of just controversies with women, but that's for another day. We'll get to that another day. But he gave this statement, this apology to Janet, and of course, it was conveniently right before the release of his second album. He said, "In my honest opinion now, I could have handled it better. I'm a part of a community that consider themselves artists, and if there was something I could have done in her defense that was more than I realized then, I would have. I probably got 10% of the blame, and that says something about society. I think America's harsher on women, and I think that America is, unfairly harsh on ethnic people." Now, this is 2 years after this incident, and it just kind of goes to show you the timing of it all. I think he was really just worried about him not getting the backlash or him not receiving the punishment from this one man called Les Moonves, who was the head of CBS at the time. Now, it came out that the head of CBS, Les Moonves, was kind of on a mission to completely destroy Janet's career after this incident. Now, CBS had to pay a $500,000 fine for that one split second of her breast being exposed. And that made Les Moonves really mad because it's a business. It's all about making money, not losing out on money. So at the time, he had ordered Janet and Justin to make their apologies. And of course, they did their apologies, but he felt as though Janet was not apologetic enough, which made him very, very angry. He was the one that ordered Viacom which again owns MTV, VH1, and a ton of radio stations to stop playing her music and also to stop playing her videos, which again, it was the time for this. Like you couldn't bypass it. He also was upset because in 2011, she had published a book with Simon and Schuster, which was owned by CBS. And he was quoted as saying, "How the f did she slip through?" It's crazy though that a man that was so obsessed with destroying this woman's career because of this incident, he was actually accused of misconduct in 2018 and was forced to resign from CBS. And it just kind of goes to show this hypocrisy of how the double standard with men and women. This was a woman that literally was exposed by a man on national television, and then you had somebody on the side who was doing misconduct. And it kind of makes you think, like, who knows kind of what situation Janet was even put at the time. Like maybe she didn't agree to some of his advances. Now this is alleged. This is not something, it just kind of makes me think, like, was it a situation of maybe she just didn't agree to his advances and that's why he was so pressed? Because it really came out that he was like pressed. He was pressed by her. Like, so I don't know. Now, fast forward to more recent times. Janet was actually honored in 2018 with the Billboard Icon Award. And she's definitely getting her flowers, but I was definitely inspired to do this video because I still don't feel like she's revered on the level that she should be, based on not only the amount of records she has sold, but just the influence of people her career has. Like Britney is literally the white Janet. Like I love Britney. But like when you really see the careers, when you see the dancing, when you see the type of music, like, and Britney has been quoted as saying that Janet was her biggest inspiration. When you see even like with the new girls like Normani, all this dancing, all this choreography, when you see like the Beyoncés with like the socially conscious albums and just kind of the blueprint. She was a blueprint for so many other girls now. And I just feel like we need to like really like get it together and really show this woman love. The newer generation, she's coming out with an album this year. I'm definitely gonna see her on tour. And we really need to show the living legends more love, because everyone shows them love once they die, once they're gone, but we need to show them love while they're here with us. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I kind of wanted to make it a little bit quicker and straight to the point. If you guys are enjoying these entertainment videos, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to be subscribed. Make sure the notification bell is turned on. Follow me on Instagram at VicandRam. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Twitter. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.